So first, a quick update on airspace. Um, as I was uploading yesterday's video, came word that the airspace in Dubai had been shut down yet again. It opened back up. This morning, it was open very early, and then it's now currently closed. Abu Dhabi appears to have much more open airspace. I watched a flight come in from Chicago and a flight come in from JFK, New York, and several other flights. So Abu Dhabi appears to be open, Dubai less so. I have several things I want to talk about today. Let's go to the PowerPoint. Come on, Steve, you can do this. So first, before getting into anything serious, I want to give a shout out to my friend Thad. When Spellman had his heart attack in February of 1997, I took over his classes, and one of the classes I took over was Development of the American Economy. In that class was Thad. Thad happens to also be one of my fraternity brothers, and he's become a good friend over the years. And on St. Patrick's Day, on his birthday, he turned 50, and I just want to wish Thad a very happy birthday. If there's one thing that every news outlet over the past 2 weeks have done is they've done some story about is Dubai finished? And so, this one here says Dubai is finished. Expats say they will leave and never come back as the tax-free dream is shattered by war and officials begin prosecuting people over posting videos of missiles. Okay, now let's cut these two parts into two different stories. First, Dubai is not finished. I lived through the financial crisis hit here about a year after it hit the rest of the world. In 2009, 20% of the world's cranes, the cranes that are used to build skyscrapers, 20% of all the cranes in the world were in Dubai. So when the financial crisis finally hit here, there were I mean, people, and again, to be clear, the people running those cranes, none of them were from the UAE. They were all from the subcontinent, basically India, Pakistan, Nepal. They were not from here. Those people got sent home, and a lot of cranes remained empty for a couple of years. It took it for it to all work out. Anyhow, by 2012, Dubai's economy came back, and since then, it's been rip-roaring. So the notion that somehow or another this particular crisis is going to cause Dubai to be finished, no, 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 no. The second part, there are stories like there's a family there's a British family that three people in the family have now been arrested because their apartment got hit by a drone and they shared pictures showing that they were safe. And they've now been arrested because they shared pictures that they are now safe. I'm not going to begin to justify that or explain that. I don't know. Technically it goes against the rules to show any pictures that have not been cleared by the government, I guess. That's why the only pictures I ever share are ones that are from a news agency here. Which, by the way, if you follow any one news agent, there's two worth following. Al Jazeera is actually doing a really good job. That's Qatari based. And here in the UAE, there's a newspaper called The National. The National is excellent. So if you want to follow news in this region, those are your two best news sources. But yeah, Dubai's not finished. Now switching to American politics. The Treasury Secretary, um, this is a little difficult for me because it's really weird for me to see a gay guy who has zero empathy. And Treasury Secretary has none. He says that consumer pain over the Iran war is the last of our concerns right now. Really? You care about consumers, which make two-thirds of the American economy. That's the last of your concerns right now? Purely on a professional level, you should care. As a Treasury Secretary, you should care. And, I don't know why I feel like as a gay man, he should have a little more empathy, but yeah, Kevin, man, dude. Um, Yeah, keep this attitude and let's see how the midterms go for you. Eh. Now, Marco Rubio allowed the experts that were able to tell him about what impacts this war could have. He allowed Doge to basically fire those people. So Marco Rubio for the win when it comes to totally stupid leadership, and he deserves what he gets, which is why I particularly love this next picture. So obviously this is AI generated to have Marco Rubio sitting in the Oval Office wearing John Deere swag. I love the cover. I love the overalls. I love this picture. Let that sink in, and then I'll talk about why you're seeing it. I meant to stop share. Hope you're back to me. Hope you're back to me. I don't know if I did this wrong. I did it wrong. Sorry. Sorry about that 20 seconds that you just lost of your life. Anyhow, why that picture is being shared. So the price of fertilizer, and to be clear, to explain things here, the main things that we grow in Iowa are corn and soybeans. Soybeans are relatively good for the soil. You need some fertilizer to get them to grow, but really soybeans are benign to the soil. Corn just extracts everything out. And so if you want to grow corn, and to be specific here, there's many types of corn. I'm talking about the field corn that goes into making everything from Doritos, corn chips to just it's corn. Field corn is what you think of as corn. It is not sweet corn. It is not popcorn. Field corn. 99% of the corn grown in Iowa is field corn. Anyhow, it absolutely destroys the soil. And so in the past, what farmers would do is they do a crop rotation. They'd plant soybeans one year, and then the next year they'd plant corn. The corn would destroy the ground, but then the next year the soybeans come back and get the ground back up again. So they didn't have to use quite as much fertilizer as they're using now. Well, as corn became more profitable, it made sense for farmers to switch to grow more corn than soybeans. But in order to do that, they have to use a whole lot of nitrogen. Technically, I believe the name is called urea, and I may be pronouncing it wrong because we just called it nitrogen anyhow, we called it nitrogen when I was growing up. And it is now coming in at $683 per ton. A farmer friend of mine in Iowa said to me, if I plant corn at this price for the nitrogen, I'm losing money before I even plant a seed because the price of nitrogen is so high, there's no chance I'm going to have a profit growing corn with this price of fertilizer. So Iowa farmers reasonably could switch to plant more soybeans. What's the problem with that? Well, last year, the President of the United States pissed off by far our number one buyer of soybeans, the country of China. China, uh, China imported more we exported more soybeans to China than the rest of the world combined. They were that big of a market for us. And after Trump did his tantrum, China stopped buying any soybeans from the US. And then Trump later announced that, oh, they've made a commitment to buy as much as they bought before, but they haven't. China never confirmed that. Trump may say something, but it's not real until you hear from the other side of the conversation. China has not come back to buying our soybeans. They bought a little. They bought enough to make it so that Trump can say, see, they're buying our soybeans, but not even 5% of what they were buying a year ago. So if these farmers go out and produce a lot more soybeans because it makes more sense economically for them to produce more soybeans, the real question becomes, where will they sell these soybeans? And what price will they get for those soybeans? It's not going to be a good price because they're going to flood the market with soybeans that right now nobody wants. So, my fellow Americans, I hope you like tofu because tofu is going to be cheap. Meat is going to be incredibly expensive. So, tofu, it's what's for dinner. See you tomorrow.